Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening to us. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. Joining me today to try to break down exactly how many points Austin Matthews is going to get for us tonight, our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, bud?
We're doing good. I jumped back into the GPP streets last night as well. I played both cash and GPP, cash both. I did not have Bowen Byram, and I still managed to get there. We'll talk about that in the slate recap. This is an interesting slate. There's some very low totals. There's some very high totals. Not a lot of spots that really jump off the page with low ownership. So I'm excited to break this one down.
Yeah, it is a weird slate because there's a slew of early games and then three late games. All the three late games I think have 5.5 totals, with two underdogs or one underdog at home at least. So it is kind of a weird slate because I think there could be some late swap opportunities because we do have, I think it's 6 games all kicking off at 7 Eastern, right? So those games all kick off. Seattle and San Jose don't start for three and a half hours. Like, you're going to have a reasonable idea of where you're sitting, by about 10 Eastern, 9:30 Eastern. And then you can go look, maybe you want to switch something to Buffalo. Maybe you want to switch something to San Jose depth. Maybe you need a late swap. So I think this could be a decent slate to late swap as well. But yeah, let's talk about last night real quick. I think Edmonton did kind of what we expected them to do. Connor McDavid didn't really have a huge game. See, that's the thing with McDavid, right? 2 assists, a shot, and a block, and he's a bust. That's just kind of the standard that we've set with him for now. Like right now is like, if he puts up 15 points, he's a complete bust, and it's just kind of weird. But yeah, Leon Draisaitl went ham. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I think, picked up a couple points. The late games, I think LA St. Louis was 0-0 going into the third period, and that ended up with 5 goals. Columbus blew a 4-2 lead, I think it was, to eventually win it in overtime. Cole Sillinger with a couple of goals. Did you watch any of that game? That was a game I didn't watch much of. I was watching the Edmonton game mostly. Colorado did score 4 goals. Some of their players did well. Bowen Byram went absolutely nuclear. I mean, it just seemed to me like, both were in good spots. Both kind of went off. Both did their thing. Like, Columbus scoring 5 goals on the road against Colorado should probably send up some warning signs for us.
Oh yeah, and the biggest guy victory lapping right now is that John Vogel guy, because Jonas Johansson looked absolutely terrible in that third period. Like, he looked like a leaky faucet. But as soon as I started with Cole Sillinger yesterday, I knew after the show I should have locked him in, because he went okay, I wasn't talking about his offensive prowess. I was talking more about his defensive stuff, but still, he had a great game. Colorado did not look great at all yesterday. Like, Bowen Byram bailed them out hard. Like, he had a ridiculous game. End of the first period, he had a goal and a combo meal ready, and he just went nuts.
I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit yesterday, but until until Taves and until Rantanen, until all those guys come back, how much depth do they have outside of the top line and the top pair? Like, when Sampo Ranta is on your second line and Jack Johnson is on your second pair, you don't have any depth. I'm sorry. So, something to keep in mind. Colorado did come through with 4 goals, but they did that against, probably bottom 5 or 6 team in the league. So until Colorado gets healthy, just buyer beware for a little minute. We do have to move it along, though. We do have 9 games to get to. Before we get to those, I see about 50 people watching, but only 12 thumbs up. So if you guys could, please give up a thumbs up. Really helps us, get to the top of the algorithm. Slam that subscribe button. You won't regret it. We have shows coming every day, whether it's NHL or not MLB anymore, but NFL and NBA. Just a lot happening here at Awesemo. It's a great time of year. I mean, like we do most every day, we have free premium tools and data up on the site that you guys can go check out. We have Thursday night football, single game rankings. We have NHL top stacks, and we have NBA player projections all up on the site to check out for tonight. And if you're playing NBA DFS, you should check out Adam Scherer's NBA Deep Dive, which is the most in-depth free NBA DFS article you'll find anywhere. So lots of free stuff up on the site, as always, if you're not a subscriber, but we think if you check out what we do have to offer, that you'll like it and that you might want to subscribe long-term. We'll get to some of those subscriptions a little bit later because we have a little deal through our subscriptions through the show. And we also have a little deal with our show sponsor, Yahoo Fantasy, we'll talk about. But we do have 9 games to get to. Let's get to the first of these games. We have the Detroit Red Wings with a 2.1 implied goal total going into Boston, and the Bruins have a 3.4 implied goal total. Dylan Larkin looks like he's out for Detroit tonight. That's going to put Michael Rasmussen up on the top line. I don't like that. I would have liked to just see Pius Suter move up and then, all the centers move up accordingly, but they're not doing that. So Michael Rasmussen, here you go, buddy. You're going right into the teeth of Boston 1 tonight. What do you like about this game, Josh? Because I'll just say personally, like both of Boston's top lines kind of look good to me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like we were talking about on Discord this morning with Larkin on that top line. They've had similar numbers to Boston 1 this season, but Larkin's out for personal reasons. Michael Rasmussen, not Dylan Larkin. So, I mean, this is going to be a Boston smash spot, and ownership here on the top line is very heavy for a 9-game slate, over 25% on this top line. And like, why wouldn't you play them? Robbie Fabry, is Bertuzzi in, or is Bertuzzi also out, or is he in?
No, Bertuzzi's in.
Yeah. Okay. So like, even with Bertuzzi there, not something that I'm particularly worried about. Like, yeah, like Ned, or Uncle Ned, I call him a next. I can't pronounce his last name. He's 6,800 on DraftKings, and that's one of those spots where, like, yeah, he's going to see a lot of volume in that price. You got to consider him. But like, Boston 1 in the smash spot, Boston 2 arguably in a smasher spot. That second line for Detroit has a 37% Corsi for percentage, and is giving up almost 3 goals against per 60. And, the ownership on that second line, Hall, Coyle, Smith, around 5%. And they're only 12,000 the full stack. So like what we talk about all the time, if you're looking to get a bit different in high total, high ownership games, just start moving down the lineup. And like, as you move down the lineup, these matchups are only going to get better for these Boston players. So as much as I love Boston 1, and I'll tell you to play them in all formats, I really like Boston 2 as well, especially in GPPs, just from an ownership standpoint. Yeah, the power play correlation isn't great. Get Taylor Hall on the top power play and Coyle Smith power play 2, and they don't see too much ice time on power play 2, but this is a great 5-on-5 matchup. Even going down to that third line, if you need a super cheap 2-man and like DeBrusque Calla, I think that's fine. So really, this is a big Bruins game for me. On the Detroit side, there isn't much that I really like. The prices are just a bit too much for me, so I'm probably out. Outside of maybe an occasional blue man or blue liner.
The blue man group. Just start playing smashing some trash cans over here. I mean, I don't really know what to do with Detroit. Like, I'm not one-offing Tyler Bertuzzi at 6,400 on the road going into Boston. Like, that's just not something I'm going to do. Like, if you want to one-off like a Lucas Raymond or Philip Zadina or something like that, like, I get it, but I just don't see a ton of value on the Detroit side, at least amongst their forwards. So I'm with you. Boston 1 and Boston 2 for me. I wrote Craig Smith up in my Power Plays article this morning. The numbers with Smith and Hall together since Hall got traded to Boston last year are like just absolutely insane. 76 shot attempts per 60 minutes across their sample going back to last year. If you're including just this year, Smith and Hall together, it's 82 shot attempts per 60 minutes. Like, that's a slow paced power play. So yeah, I do like Boston 2 as a filler, but like Boston 1 is one of my favorite lines on the night. I have them projected number 1 for value as a 3-man stack, as a 3-man line, or not value, number 1 in raw projections as a 3-man stack, and they're top 3 by just total value for me as a top line. So I'm going to have a fair amount of Boston 1 tonight. I see that there is a lot of ownership on them, but that doesn't really bother me because I only see there's only like 2 or 3 spots that I really want to get to anyway. So like, you know, if one of those 2 or 3 spots is going to end up Boston 1, I'm going to be like 30 or 35% on Boston 1 anyway. So like if they do come in at 20 to 25%, it's still going to be over the field. Like that's just kind of the way I'm treating it. I'm not putting in like 10% Boston 1. Like I'm coming in at the field or I'm not playing them. That's just, and in like 3 max and 20 max and stuff, 150, I think Jake would say is a little bit different. Jake would say you don't fade in 150, you just play less of them. On the blue line, I do like Philip Hronik. I wrote about how his role has changed in the Power Plays article. He's in a much more defensive role now. That's not good for offense, obviously, but he should be a block shot bonus on DK tonight. Anything for either defenseman on either side here?
Yeah, I agree with you on Hronik. McAvoy, if you're doing Boston 1, I think Grzelcyk makes more sense. With Boston 2, I don't mind Grzelcyk as a one-off in the spot either.
Yeah, I see Grzelcyk in cash in the Discord from time to time. I don't know if I can recommend that. Can you recommend that?
No, but in GPPs, I think at that price, if you're doing like a cheaper Boston 2 or 3, 2-man or 3-man, I think Grzelcyk makes sense at the price.
Yeah, okay, good enough. All right, let's move along. Oh, before we go, either of the goalies, do you like either of the goalies here?
I mean, obviously I like Swayman, but like price and ownership are a problem. Like I worry about shot volume. If he gives up like 1 on 23 shots, it's a win and you're going to get points, but it doesn't have the GPP winning upside. I mean, the shutout is there, but he needs the shutout to pay off there. And Ned, 6,800, you got to consider him at least a little bit in GPPs. Like he's going to have the volume to where he can get the saves bonus. It's just a matter of keeping the shots out of the net.
Yeah, I want to bring up like Nedeljkovic or Greiss, whoever starts, because it reminds me of, remember last week on one of the shows we were talking about Calgary going into Pittsburgh at the end of a road trip, and like Markstrom had to stand on his head. He made like 44 saves or something like that. That's what kind of this reminds me of here. Like if Detroit wins this game tonight, it's not going to be because they blew out the Bruins 6-1. You know what I mean? If they win this game tonight, it's because Greiss makes 41, Greiss or Ned, whoever it is, makes 41 saves and they win like 3-1 or 2-1 or something like that.
Greasy performance, yeah.
Right. So like I'm not going heavy on Ned, but in my non-Boston lineups, he's definitely going to be in consideration at 6,800 because I think the only way Detroit wins that game is if Ned has a really good game. And if Ned has a really good game, I want him in GPPs. All right, next game. Tampa Bay Lightning, 2.9 implied goal total going into Toronto, 3.1 implied goal total. Okay, we probably should talk about Austin Matthews because now, it's not a 4-game slate or whatever. It is a 9-game slate. He is expensive and Tampa is a good team. So it is a question for once. It's not, this isn't last year when Matthews was scoring a goal a game and it was just slamming Matthews every night. It is a question of whether to play him or whether to play the second line or what to look in on Tampa Bay. So why don't you lead us through this, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, the ownership's in check right now. Like, it's just like from a number standpoint, the numbers just scream play Toronto 1. Like, their numbers are insane. Like 65% Corsi for, over a 4 expected goals for, 22 high danger chances per 60. They're just not finishing right now. Like, it's just not happening. But, you just can't be like, oh, that's going to continue tonight. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but like this is DFS. This isn't like a 2-week-long season long. So like the numbers scream play him. And if they're going to come in around 8-9%, obviously Matthews is going to be way higher. Like he'll probably be like 15%. The other guys will be like 9 or less. I think you got to play him. And they're going to get the Stamkos line. And they have a very small sample, but holy moly, are their numbers atrocious at 5-on-5. Like atrocious. Like if you want to go look it up, go, if you're a line matching sub with our boy gnarly rad dude, you can go look at, or you can go to Nat Stat Trick and look up that lines numbers. It is atrocious. Like the dog is crying. They know how bad.
Even the dog knows how bad they are.
Like it's so bad. So like the one thing I'll say, it's a great 5-on-5 matchup, but you dropped like some knowledge on us in Discord this morning. Austin Matthews has 3 power play assists in his last 65 games. Like McDavid had that yesterday and he had a bad game. So like, it's crazy how bad their power play is, but this is a great 5-on-5 spot. So I do really like Tampa 1, Toronto 1, Toronto 2. Like, I don't know. I'm just not a big believer in the Tavares Marner combo. Like I know I've been like super hard on Marner and he sucks, but like, they're gonna get the point Cirelli Chlorine matchup, and yeah, their numbers aren't great either, but like it's obviously a better line than the Stamkos one. So like if I'm gonna go anywhere in this game, it's Toronto. And like I'm having a hard time, like honestly getting to any Tampa. Like, yeah, Montreal, where am I right now? Toronto has some issues defensively and this and that, but like without Kucherov and without that third line, they've struggled a little bit this season. So it's on this big of a slate on the road. Like I'm going to be under the field. Man, I can't even speak today. Under the field on Tampa. So for me, I like Toronto 1 from this game really. And the other stuff I'll probably sprinkle in MME if I was making 20 to 150.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought up the point about Stamkos because it is small samples this year, but I'm going to give you guys a big sample. Over the last 3 years, when Stamkos has played with anybody but Point and Kucherov, the team's on-ice goals drops to 2.5, which is about league average, and Stamkos's on-ice expected goals rate drops to about 48%. He's just not the player he was 5 years ago. He can't drive a line as a center anymore. He just can't do it. He's still a great finisher. It's kind of like Alex Ovechkin. Alex Ovechkin isn't a play driver specifically, but that guy can sure as hell finish some goals. Stamkos is the same thing. He's not a play driver, but he can finish. But you need a play driver as the center on the second line when you're going up against Austin Matthews for an entire game. I love that matchup for Toronto 1, so I am in on Toronto 1. Like we talked about the Toronto power play, and it has been bad for a few years now, but their numbers have been like the shot numbers have been really, really good this year. Like with the Matthews unit, 135 shot attempts per 60 minutes, like 120 is high pace for a power play. 135 is just obscene. You got to think the dam's going to break on the power play eventually, right? Especially where they have so much talent, they're generating so many shots. Like Toronto 1 comes in, especially where their ownership is going to be under 10% or looks to be around, like you said, Matthews will be a lot higher. The guys will come in lower. I'm in on Toronto 1. So that's where I'm looking in this game. I'm not in on Tampa Bay. If anything, it would be the Cirelli line, but I'm just not in on Tampa Bay. I'm looking more towards the defenseman. So on the blue line, I do like Ryan McDonagh in this game from Tampa. Is there anybody from the Toronto side you like? I know we don't tend to play a lot of Toronto defensemen here.
I mean, Muzzin's still in that under 4K, and I think he's fine. He doesn't really correlate on the power play. I wish he got some power play time over Riley, I think. But, listen, that's for another day. Riley, if you're correlating, Muzzin, if you need a one-off, Rasmus Sandin at min price, you can do worse.
Josh, you have fan mail in the chat. He says, play Marner. What do you think? There's Josh's thoughts on Mitch Marner. All right. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our premium Discord, our lineup builder, and a whole lot more. If you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can take advantage of the promo code we have for this show, which is NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word. That's NHL Strategy Show for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Of course, if you're only interested in playing NBA DFS, then you can NHL DFS. Sorry, you can sign up for our Awesemo NHL weekly package for $3.95 per week. It gives you access to all the good stuff that we have here at NHL. And if you want to check out at Awesemo at NHL, and if you want to check out what we have before spending any of your hard-earned cash here, like I mentioned earlier, we do have free premium tools and content up on the site. So we have Thursday night NFL rankings for tonight. We have our NHL Top Stacks tool. You've already heard us talk about our NHL Top Stacks. And we have any NBA player projections for tonight as well. So you can check out what we have up on the site before spending any of your money, but we think you'll like what you see. So it's NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word, for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right. Let's get to the next game. New York Islanders, 2.9 implied goal total. Going into Montreal, the Habs have a 2.4 implied goal total. Man, oh man, that's got to be one of the lowest home implied goal totals we've seen on the season. I I have some thoughts about this game. I know you're going to have some thoughts about this game. I want to hear what you think about the Islanders in this game first, because I think the Islanders are in one of those situations where I think they can be GPP winning, but I think they could also be tricking a lot of people into a false sense of security. So what do you see there?
Yeah, I mean, the Islanders top line is super expensive. Anders Lee, 7,400. Like, why? I don't know. Like, on the road, 7,400 Anders Lee when you can play David Pastrnak for 7,600 at home against the Wangs. Like, like it's just tough. Like, for me, if I'm going to go to an Islanders line, it's going to be the second line, Beauvillier, Nelson, Palmieri. They're probably going to get to Suzuki matchup. And for as good as they are offensively, the Suzuki line, it's very high paced. So it's going to go back and forth. And, Nelson Beauvillier is good defensive line. So I think, Islanders too can win that matchup. And their ownership on the Islanders tonight is non-existent right now. So I don't know if I'd make anyone in this game a primary focus. I think this is an MME game for me, especially because it's a 5.5. And, the road team is favored and they're pretty pricey. So it's tough for me to get, behind, like, going to get a lot of these guys in even like 3 to 5 lineups, 20 lineups. It doesn't need much to be over the field. So for me, Islanders 2, Islanders 3, like, I think people are going to, see like, oh, JG Pajot is back and they're still kind of pricey and they're going to get the Dvorak matchup. And yeah, Arturi Lekin and Joel Armia there, but like Dvorak is good defensive center. This is just like a tough matchup, even though the Canadiens haven't been great on the penalty kill, but like the Islanders power play is a mess. Like, it doesn't correlate great. So Islanders 2 is probably where I'd be. Not much on the Montreal side. It's just the Islanders are a good defensive team, even if they haven't been great so far this season. But if I feel like we haven't broken down an Islanders game on a main slate in weeks, like I don't think they've been on the main slate in so long, but like for me, this game is just MME, and in like 3 max single entry, I'm probably just going to cross it out.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, was the fact that the Islanders haven't played in so long. It was a 5-day break for them. This is day 5. And I bring that up because we have data on bye weeks. Like, I know it feels like a lifetime ago, but the NHL used to have bye weeks. Maybe they still have them. I don't even know, man. Anyways, the NHL introduced bye weeks like 6 years ago, and it was where a team would get like 5 days off in like January, February, or something like that, and then they come back and play. The data on bye weeks, on teams coming back from bye weeks, was very, very bad. Like, any team taking more than 4 days off, which is what the Islanders have taken, they drop about 1 goal for per 60 minutes and add about a half goal against per 60 minutes. And their power play, I think it cuts by about a quarter. So like a 20% power play comes in at like 5%. And, it kind of makes sense. Like, if you're away from your teammates, if you're not playing, in that rhythm all the time, of the power plays with the same guys night in and night out, it makes sense that you lose a little bit of that rhythm. So that's what worries me about this Islanders game. Like, I love the Islanders here tonight. That the Islanders in second and third lines in particular that you mentioned are some of my favorite filler lines on the entire slate. And they're ranking well for me, like, for value. I just worry that they've had so much time off that they kind of look rusty, and that maybe if they win, it's some kind of gritty 3-1 win where there's like 50 total shots in the whole game. You know what I mean? So like, that's what's worrying me here with the Islanders, is I don't know what Islanders, and it's not like they were playing great before the break. Like you mentioned, they weren't a very good defensive team in their first 6 or 7 games or whatever. So like, I'm still going to have some Islanders. I think it'll probably be more Islanders 3, Parise, Wahlstrom, maybe mix in some Pulak for some extra penalty kill, but definitely some 2-mans, Parise and Wahlstrom, in some more expensive stacks like Toronto or Calgary or something like that. So that's where I'm at here. Islanders 3 2-man is what I'm going to be going with. But that's it for me for forwards from this game. On the blue line, like, I think correlating is fine, but I don't know if there's a single defenseman in this game that I'm going out of my way to play.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Like, Pelech Mayfield is like a normal, like, go after spot for me, but at 38, 3,900, I need them to be in the low 3s but the high threes, I'm going to take a pass. And on the Montreal side, there's nothing there outside of correlation.
I mean, Jake Allen in net for 7,100, like 7,100 at home. Like, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jake Allen. I just like this game just feels trappy. You know what I mean?
That's why I think like I'm gonna have some Islanders two mans. Like I said, maybe like Allen in net, and then that's about it. Like, there's not a lot that I'm taking out of this game. I agree with you there. Let's get to a game that doesn't feel trappy. The Vegas Golden Knights without Jack Eichel are going into Ottawa. Vegas has a 2.8 implied goal total. Ottawa has a 2.7 implied goal total. I think the big news for Vegas here is that, hey, Kel Surprise, Brett Howden's not a top line center. And they put Chandler Stevenson back with William Karlsson and Riley Smith. With all their injuries, that's probably the best line that they can put together now. And that interests me because both of Ottawa's top 6 lines are playing pretty high pace right now. And if they want to trade chances with Smith and Marchessault, I might be interested in taking a little bit of Vegas here, but I think there's stuff to like on both sides. What do you like, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I do like that Stevenson, Marchessault, Smith line. Again, they're coming in over-owned. That annoys me because they always do. Ottawa doesn't really hard match at home. I would imagine Norris sees some of the Norris Kachuk line, sees some of the Stavison line, sees some of the Dadenoff line. But, I like Ottawa one tonight. Top Stacks likes Ottawa tonight. Ownership doesn't like, which makes the leverage high. Like, this is one of my favorite spots. Even Marner scored against the Knights. Like, he was wide open. Leonard was so out of position. He was basically in Calgary, and Marner actually got the puck in the net, but like fully correlated on the power play. Not as cheaper than Toronto, cheaper than Boston. Quarter of the ownership, fully correlated against a banged up Vegas team. Sign me up for Ottawa 1. I do like that Ottawa second line as well. They've been playing great. The thing is, like, their ownership's about the same as Ottawa 1, and their power play correlation is atrocious. So for the same ownership, I'd rather go to the Ottawa top line. And I do agree with you on the Vegas top line. I just worry about their ownership. The thing is, like you mentioned, it is going to be a very high pace game. So definitely have some Vegas top line in your mix. Just be aware of what you're doing with them.
I mean, this is probably going to ruin the spot, but there's some lineup sites that have the wrong lines for Vegas. Like, the top line is Smith, Marchessault, and Stevenson. And there's some lineup sites that don't have that.
Yeah,
so
our lineup builder doesn't have it, which means a certain site doesn't have it.
So maybe they're not as high owned as we think. Like, if these lineup sites don't have the right lines, like that's something I'm going to be monitoring. Like, usually I do my lineups as soon as we finish the show. I might take a couple hours and wait to see if anything changes there, because if people still think Chandler Stevenson is on the second line, Vegas 1 all of a sudden becomes very, very important in my builds. But I do love Ottawa 1 here tonight. I'm with you.
Got the dog.
There we go. We got the dogs. We got the dogs in. So that's Ottawa 1 night for us. Yeah, we have them at 6%. I think they come in a little bit higher, but they probably still come in under 10%. And like, that's just fine for me at home in a matchup. What worries me is that Vegas doesn't take a lot of penalties. So they're going to, Ottawa's going to have to do a lot of work at 5-on-5, but like, Ottawa's never really had a great power play anyway. So it's not like, oh, I can't wait to play Ottawa tonight because of a great special teams matchup. That's never been the case with them, right? So I do like Ottawa 1. Ottawa 2, I think, is a good filler line here tonight. The problem is just no correlation, right? So like, if you want to one-off some guys, I think I'd probably rather dip down to the third line, honestly. Like, if I'm going to stack a line, oh yeah. I think, yeah, it's CT season, baby. If I were to dip down a line, I would be going down to the third line, honestly. I make fun of Chris Tierney a lot. But he hasn't looked bad, honestly, so far this season. That line has actually put up decent offensive numbers, about 2.5 goals per 60 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I'll take a shot on Tierney and Ennis, PP2, super cheap 2-man, if you need to mix them in with your Toronto 1 stacks, I think. But I like Ottawa 1, yeah, by far the most out of this game. Your boy, the Zoo, back up to 5,200. That feels a little bit expensive for me. Shabbat 6,600 if you're correlating makes a lot of sense. Nikita Zaitsev out of the lineup. So there's going to be a lot of $2,500 Ottawa defensemen if you want to punt.
Yeah, Zub a little out of the price range, especially when you can pay $200 more for Alec Martinez. Zub is like a Walmart version of Alec Martinez, so you might as well find the $200 to play the actual version of Alec Martinez. But yeah, if you need a punt, look for those min-priced Senators defensemen.
Yeah, especially like Nick Holden always finds his way to a game every once in a while. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nick Holden, man, just one of those guys. All right, we have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit, and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we will reach out to you via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 below, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. I can't recommend it enough. Like, I think back to when I started DFS playing on like Draft Day and Draft Street and all that stuff. You know what I mean? When like the GPPs were like $500 with $50 to first. Like, that's where I got my feet wet. And I think that probably helped me in the long run. So if you guys are just new to NHL or to DFS or whatever, I strongly recommend giving this a chance. You get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. So you're going to have us backing you up. And then you don't have all the sharks in your contest. So you can really get used to your process and how to play DFS every night. Cannot recommend it enough. That's a great offer we have here from Yahoo Fantasy. All right, let's move it along. Next game, Washington, 2.8 implied goal total going into Florida. The Panthers have a 3.2 implied goal total. Sam Bennett out for the Panthers. Sam Reinhart taking his spot on the second line. I didn't see PP practice, but I just got to assume Reinhart's going to take Bennett's spot on the top power play as well. So that looks like a pretty big glow up for Reinhart. But I noticed that Florida 2 isn't necessarily popping in our top stacks tool. We have them under 5% as a top 2 stack, which, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I don't know if Reinhart and Bennett are the same player, but I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, this game is interesting for me, especially in GPPs, because you look at our top stack tool, which is, if you're a GPP player, GPP player, it is honestly the best tool that we offer. And you see that the Florida Panthers are right outside the top 5 in top stack percentage, but their ownership is very high. They're one of the least leveraged, like negative leverage spots on the whole slate. So like, while they're in a good spot and they're probably going to get the Kuznetsov Ovechkin matchup, which is, you know, a plus matchup for the Panthers. One, Florida 1's ownership is very high. 2, Ovechkin and Kuznetsov, dare I say, haven't looked awful this year.
Thank you.
So yeah, like at that ownership, I think I'm going to take a pass, or at least like be under the field on Florida 1 here. It does worry me about, you know, stacking Washington 1 at the same time, but like, you get Ovechkin on every single power play for 2 minutes. So yeah, at 9K, it's a little tough pill to swallow on the road. I'd rather, you know, again, play Pastrnak for $1,500 less at home. So yeah, you can get to some Washington 1, but like this game as a whole, I'm probably not going to have much. Reinhardt's a nice player, but I prefer him on the wing. Like, Sam Bennett is a legit center. Reinhardt is probably could play center, but he definitely is going to make his career on the wing. So 6 total, 2 very good teams, 2 good offensive teams, but like there just isn't much that I'm going into it like, oh, I got to play these guys.
Yeah, what stuck out for me is Florida takes a lot of penalties. They're one of the most penalized teams in the NHL. And guess who is our top leverage spot on the entire slate? It's Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Washington 1 is our top leverage spot on the entire slate. And Florida is one of the 5 most penalized teams in the NHL. Like, if you're going to give Kuznetsov and Ovechkin 4 or 5 power plays, this could be a bad game for Florida. and you're right. Like Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, and Wilson have looked pretty good defensively this year. Like, and I think that's something we got to remind ourselves from last year. Kuznetsov had COVID twice last year. like, let's give the guy a little bit of a break for not being great defensively last year. You know what I mean?
It was self-inflicted, but yeah, he got it twice.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But still, he still had to deal with it. So where that line has actually been pretty good this year, and they're coming in as a really good leverage spot. Like, I don't think you need to include Wilson. I think you can leave him off if you want, but I think three-manning it is fine. Adding John Carlson is fine. And again, you don't need a ton of them. Like 10 to 15% of Washington 1/Washington power play gets you over the field. So it's not that I'm super high on the 5-on-5 matchup for Washington. It's that if Florida takes 4 or 5 penalties, I like Kuznetsov and Ovechkin's chances of getting on the scoreboard here tonight. So where they're not going to be owned, I really do like Washington 1 here tonight. They're going to be one of my highest owned stacks. I have Florida 2 as a top stack in my Power Plays article this morning, but a big part of it is Reinhart, right? You save, I think it's $1,400 or $1,500 dropping from Bennett to Reinhart, and that's a pretty significant savings. So don't mind Florida 2 either, but I think Washington 1 is what I like most in this game. On the blue line, are you going to be doing anything besides correlating your defenseman here? I don't really see a need. Like Gustav Forsling, I think, is always in play for us, but
yeah, I mean, like, I can't remember the last time I won off the Caps defenseman outside of Carlson, so I'm out there. Schultz 3,200 power play 2 if you want to get spicy, but like there's not much that I really want out of this game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that as well. So let's just move it along then. Philly 3.0 implied goal total going into Pittsburgh. 3.0 implied goal total for the Penguins. Our producer Mike is going to be very interested in this game. He is a Philadelphia Flyers fan. Sidney Crosby, sorry buddy, you got COVID. Brian Rust still not back in the lineup. Evgeny Malkin obviously still not back in the lineup. Brian Dumoulin and Marcus Pettersson and Chad Ruhwedel all out of the lineup as well. Chris Letang might actually be back tonight. They did call up a defenseman as a just in case, but I think the expectation is that Letang might take warm up tonight and might play. We have him as one of the highest owned players on the slate. He's not even confirmed to play. Like, I mean, I guess I'd play him if he was in, but like, I don't know. Like, it's not easy to make Letang lineups, right? Because if you put Letang in, then you'd have to drop down to Marino. That's 2,300 that you have to move somewhere else. And then if you put in Marino, you have to go up to Letang. You have to completely rearrange your lineup. So like, I think it's kind of a tough spot unless you're playing 1 or 3 max. If you're 1 or 3 maxing, I think it could be a decent spot. But what do you think about this game, Josh?
This game is interesting, and I'm surprised it's a 6 total. I thought it was going to be a 5.5, but Crosby out, moves Carter up, moves Erod back into the center spot. And, Teddy Beluga probably going to go out against Couturier. That's just going to be like sludge fest USA. Like, it's going to be such a
that's a heavyweight tilt of defensive prowess.
Yeah, that's just going to be like slow motion. So like, I don't know, like Teddy Bluger is not one of those guys who are like, oh, it's erratic Fasca and I can't stack against him. But like, I don't know. Philly 1 is expensive and they're on the road, but they're fully correlated. So like, if you want to play them for the power play, I think that's fine. That 5v5 matchups kind of going to cancel each other out there. The line that I like in this game is Pitt 1. They're probably going to get to the Broussard, Farabee, Atkinson, and they're pretty high event. So really this game for me is, Pitt 1, who isn't going to be a priority. Like, their ownership is like 9-10%, and that just feels high without Crosby there. I do like Danton Heinen up there. I wish he was on the top power play, but I will have some Pitt 1 in my mix. I'll also have Philly 2 in the mix because that's going to be a pretty high event line. But like, the Philly 1 going into Pitt 3 is going to be pretty slow pace there. Pitt 2 going into the, Lawton, Lindblom, Van Riemsdyk line is going to be pretty iffy there. So like, Philly 2, Pitt 1. It's going to be an MME mix. I probably would only consider a Pitt 1 in 1 to 3 lineups.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh one is where I'm leaning here, and it's because they are probably going to see a lot of that Brassard-Atkinson matchup, and that's just a great matchup for Pittsburgh. Like Brassard and Atkinson and Farabee have been good offensively this year, but they've been similarly bad defensively, and that's a great matchup for Pittsburgh at home. The problem is like if you stack Carter and Gensel together, and then Letang actually does play, like you're looking at like 19K for 3 players. And none of them are Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of feels bad, but at the same time, you have to believe in the matchup. And Carter and Gensel, 51% expected goal share skating together, and you said that line has had good numbers together. So yeah, I do like Pittsburgh 1. I'm just trying to figure out if I'd power play stack them. Like I said, it's just hard with Letang, right? Like that question mark for me. It's just really throwing me off. So like Gensel Carter 2-mans, I guess. But again, I think I'd rather just 3-man stack the line. I honestly would. Like, don't just throw on Heinen. He's a good player. Take advantage of that matchup. So that's where I am here. Pittsburgh 1, full line stack. I'm not in on anything on the Philadelphia side. I think this is a tough matchup for Philly. I think their depth has kind of overshot a little bit, and it's just not a good matchup for the top line. So I'm out on Philly. On the blue line, Rasmus Ristolainen sticks out to me, under 4K. He's a legitimate like combo threat guy. He probably won't do it this year, but he actually can put up 5 shots or 3 blocks in a game. So I don't necessarily mind him as like a one-off, but there's really not a lot of defensemen I like out of this game.
Yeah, me either. Pierre-Olivier or Joseph, min price, you could do worse, but like not really looking to get these guys in. And with Letang being a question mark, at least it's an early-ish game. Is it a 7 o'clock?
Yeah, it's a 7
o'clock. So we'll know if he's in, but I think, if you're building 150 and you're waiting on the Chris Letang, you're going to be pretty busy tonight.
Yeah, especially where there's 5 other games locking at the same time, right? So if there's other lineup news that comes besides Letang, like if you're playing 150, that's going to be a mad scramble. So just keep that in mind as the day moves on. Have you ever heard of the Awesemo Hall of Fame, Josh? And have you ever wondered how you could get in?
If Dano finished that goal last night in overtime.
Oh man, can we not talk about that? LAK2, why'd you guys have to do this to us? But we do have the Awesemo Hall of Fame here. We do like to celebrate when our subscribers win. So to get into the Awesemo Hall of Fame, all you have to do is download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar. You place in the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants, and you tweet the wins to the Awesemo Hoff account on Twitter. That's Awesemo HOF account, and you can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You see our boss, Tommy Nation 1, Jake Harry, took down 20K just a couple days ago. We had another one of our NHL subscribers, Spotford, take down a 20K. He took down 25K actually a week ago. It's been a pretty good, maybe not a great start to the season for you and I personally, but we've seen our subscribers had some success early on in the season. So great start from them. And like we pointed out, you don't have to win thousands. Finishing 3rd for $750, that can also get you into the Awesemo Hall of Fame. So if you finish top 3 in a contest, just make sure that you have the awesemo.com avatar and then send it to the Awesemo Hoff account. You can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Remember, you can only win 1 free month per year. You can't keep winning and keep getting free stuff from us. You probably won't need us if you keep winning, actually. We do have 3 games left to get to, so let's get to those. We have Dallas with a 2.6 implied goal total going into Calgary. Flames have a 2.8 implied goal total. There are 2 lines I like out of this game, but I want to get your thoughts before I talk about them.
It's funny because this is a 5.5 total, and there's a lot more that I like in this game than some of the 6 totals. I feel like Ron Burgundy when he gets his job back, just like news team, Sharks team, assemble. Like, God damn it, I'm back on the Stars top line here.
Here we go.
Hintz, Robertson, Pavelski. Just because like they're gonna get the Coleman Backlund Pitlick line, and Backlund is declining defensively. Coleman's still okay, but Tyler Pitlick's okay, but their numbers haven't been very good. And, Robertson, Hintz, Pavelski fully correlated on the power play, coming in at 3-4%. I get it. It's a low total on the road, and Flames have been pretty good defensively, but like the line to get at the Flames is that second line. So I like this Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson line. You want to go to Ben Sagan, Radulov, that's fine. Like if you're stuck in 2014, God bless you, play them. Sagan's overpriced for me though. So Dallas 1 for me. I like Calgary 1 as well, fully correlated on the top power play. They are a bit pricey, but they're 4.5% going against the Stars, who, haven't been great defensively. So both top lines are in play for me, fully correlated on the power play, 5.5 total. Don't care. Putting them in my mix. Let's do it.
Yeah, those are the two lines that I wanted to talk about. Like Toronto 1, Boston 1, Washington 1, Calgary 1, Dallas 1. Those are my 5 top lines tonight. Dallas 1, I know Robertson, Hintz, Pavelski haven't gone nuclear yet, but their numbers are just absolutely insane. 3.8 expected goals for per 60 minutes, 86 shot attempts per 60 minutes so far this year. And they're going to get that plum second line. I hope that plum second line matchup against, not plum, but it's better than it used to be in the past against Backlund and Coleman's. And they're all correlated on the power play together. So like, I really do like that Dallas 3-man stack of Robertson, Hintz, Pavelski. They're not super expensive, so you can fit in another good stack with them. Like you can game stack the top lines out of this if you want. I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm just saying you could. And they're coming in under 5% ownership. Yeah, I love it. It's I think Calgary's a much better team than they were last year. But you have, I'm just playing my numbers here, and it says Dallas is going to get a good in-game matchup. So I like Dallas 1. I like Calgary 1 for the same reason. They're going to see the Ben line, and the Ben Sagan and Radulov have not been good this year. 45% expected goal share and shot share. So yeah, Calgary 1, Dallas 1 for me. On the blue line, not really doing a whole lot besides correlating. There's just really not a lot of guys that stick out to me. Other than, Rasmus Anderson, obviously, if you're playing your Calgary ones. What do you think?
Yeah, Klingberg, Dallas 1, Rasmus Anderson, Calgary 1. If you want to punt some guys as one-off, Suter, 3,400. If you really want to kick it back to, now this is what I call music, volume 7, play Dallas 2 with Ryan Suter. You feel great. So like Suter is one-off. Miro Heiskanen, too expensive for me. Nothing on the Calgary side that I really want to play.
Yep. All right. Buffalo, 2.6 implied goal total going into Seattle. The Seattle, I always want to call them the Mariners. The Seattle Kraken have a 3.0 implied goal total. I wrote up the Seattle. I guess they're the top line tonight. I don't know exactly what to call them for the Kraken, but the line of Wenberg, Donskoy, Schwartz is $10,000, and they're probably going to skate like 19 minutes tonight. We do have them over owned by top stacks, but I think I can get creative enough elsewhere that I don't mind playing them. So I do like Seattle, Wenberg, Donskoy, Schwartz out of this game. What do you like here, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're I think the highest negative leverage spot on the whole slate, but it's just price driven. Like they're super cheap. They're going to get tons of minutes. They're fully correlated on the second power play unit, but it's not like a Washington or a Toronto or, Boston that plays the full power play time. They're going to get, probably the Cousins matchup. Not like there's a matchup on Buffalo that really makes you go shaking in your boots, but like, yeah, Wenberg's fine at 3,400. I know, Jake loves to lock him in at 5,600, but like 3,400 Wenberg is perfectly acceptable. Like he's still a young player, like playing with these line mates, like he can get there, he doesn't have to score, get a couple assists there. Donskoy's my boy, still 3,400. Jaden Schwartz, like 3,200. Like these prices are insane. They're going to be popular for that reason, but like Cliffy said, you can get different. If you want to go to that second line, that's also acceptable. But the thing is, like, they're over-owned as well. So I'd rather just go to that top line and get a little bit different. On the Buffalo side, that Buffalo top line is coming in at like 1-2%, and I'm not itching to play them, but they're fully correlated on the power play. They've had decent numbers this season. I know Olofsson's out, Skinner's there. It does worry me a bit, but, a fully correlated line coming in at 1%. I'll have them a little bit in a mix if I'm making over 20 lineups.
Yeah, the thing is like I mentioned in our Discord chat, Buffalo won. Skinner with Thompson is coming in at virtually the same ownership as Stamkos and Palat and the same price. Like, and I'd rather just play Stamkos and Palat. You know what I mean? So
no, I agree. Yeah,
that's just kind of where I'm coming at in this game. All right. We are going to be getting out of here in a few minutes, but we do have another game to get to. Before we get out of here, if you guys could please just like and subscribe. Just, you know, click that little thumbs up, click the subscription button, really helps us look good for our bosses. And then throw in that notification bell if you want to get notified whenever we do go on the air. Coming up after us, you have your Yahoo NFL Thursday night show with Koff and Greg. They're going to be followed by the Jock Market NFL Thursday night show. And then we have back-to-back NBA shows with a deeper dive and live before lock. And then that is going to be followed by live before lock with Laffy, Alex, and Ben. So lots of NFL and NBA shows coming up very soon. One more game to get to real quick. St. Louis 2.9 implied goal total. Going into San Jose, the Sharks have a 2.7 implied goal total. Sharks are loading up the top line with Dahlin and Eklund playing with Logan Couture. I'm going to be going on to the Buchnevich and Saad line. That's where I'm focusing for St. Louis. That too, man, I do like them. What do you think, Josh?
I agree, because they're going to probably see a good deal of the Hurdle line, and that line has been very high event both ways. So I do like this Buchnevich spot. I like this Hurdle spot. They're going to be overowned though. So Hurdle and cash is fine. But if you're going to play San Jose too, just be aware of what you're doing. I probably just, do like a Hurdle Couture, just get a little bit different, get that power play. But yeah, I like that Saad Buchnevich 2-man. Not much else from this game. St. Louis is back-to-back on the road. So, and this is the only really late game. Nothing screams Thursday night like, let's get sharked.
Yeah, exactly. So I am also in just on Buchnevich and Saad. I see a super chat in YouTube, $5 super chat from Matt Niehaus. Is the deal real this evening? I say no. What do you say?
Yeah, no. If he was on power play 1, you know what I mean? Like, he could be like a Chiasson type deal, but not tonight.
No, I agree with you. All right, we got to get out of here. Josh, I'm going to ask you for your hat trick and your goalie picks for tonight. My long shot goalie pick is Thomas Greiss or Nedeljkovic, whoever starts. I also do like Matt Murray or Philip Gustafson, depending who starts between them. And Craig Smith, my hat trick pick. Who you got?
Yeah, I like the Sens goalie, whoever that is, and my hat trick pick is gonna be Jason Robertson.
All right, there you go. You got Jason Robertson and Craig Smith as your hat trick picks, and we will be back tomorrow with another show. We got to get out of here. For Mike, the producer, for Josh, I'm Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy, saying good luck tonight, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow.